Greetings! Okay, so as promised in the first video, I'm gonna do card reviews as the cards are revealed. Today we're gonna focus on the first 6 cards that Blizzard announced yesterday when they revealed Whispers of the Old Gods. So yeah, let's get right into it. The first card that I would like to review is called Polluted Hoarder. So as you can see, it's a upgraded or double the size of a loot hoarder. Instead of a 2/1, it's a 4/2 with Death Rattle that draws a card. It actually reminds me of a number of cards. People have compared it to Cultmaster that also draws you a card. It's a 4/2 for 4. But I actually think that it kind of more resembles Matter Bomber, where we had the Mad Bomber, and then Matter Bomber with twice the stats, twice the damage dealt. It sort of gives this feeling. Or when you had Shredder, then you had Piloted Sky Golem, and then you have Sneasel Shredder, where each version was a bigger and better version of the previous one. With Polluted Hoarder, however, I don't really think that it will be played much in Standard, looking at it at first glance. Overall, I think 2 health is really, really low. It just dies to everything. The reason Loot Hoarder is played is because it's only 2 mana. It usually makes the opponent ping it for 2 mana. It draws you a card. So for decks like Freeze Mage, it's more about stalling, about drawing into the cards that you need. Whereas Polluted Hoarder seems like a card that's more intended into aggro decks. But spending 4 mana and then getting it killed by a 2/1 or a 1/1 with a ping and drawing a card out of it, I don't think is worth it. I think if you want to spend 4 mana to draw a card, you might as well just go with the Gnomish Inventor and then use that in synergy with cards like Inner Rage to draw even more cards. So overall, I think this card is not terrible, but like we saw in the past, usually the very first card of the expansion that they show is not particularly great. In League of Explorer, it was the Explorer's Hat that's not really played that much around anymore. So yeah, I think Polluted Hoarder is definitely a cool card, but I don't think it will see much play. Second card that they showed us during yesterday's preview is the Corrupted Healbot. It's a 6/6 for 5 mana, and Death Rattle, restore 8 health to the enemy hero. So Antique Healbot heals 8 damage to your face when it comes to play, but it also only has half the stats. It's a 3/3 for 5 mana, which is really bad. This one is a 6/6 for 5 mana, which is relatively good, but if you compare it with like a Pit Fighter, it only has 1 more attack for the downside, which I don't think that is worth it. Yes, you can combine it with cards like Auchenai Soul Priest to deal 8 damage to opponent's face. It can be killed while your opponent is on full health, so he doesn't actually get the 8 health, but I think these are quite rare occasions, and I think the upside of having 1 extra attack is just not worth it of having that 8 health downside, because the opponent, if he's able and he's a good player, can play around it. He can heal in the time when he needs to, and yeah, it can potentially really screw you over. So I don't really think this card will be playing constructed, but we have to see until all of the cards are revealed to be able to see for sure. Next card that they revealed is probably my favorite one so far in terms of just flavor, art, and how it works. Is the Validated Doomsayer. Like the regular Doomsayer, it's a 0/7, but this one costs 5 mana, and the FX is really cool. At the start of your turn, it sets this minion's attack to 7. So, unless you silence it, no matter what you do with this card, it will always have 7 attack at the beginning of your turn. If you humility it, it will have 7 attack at the beginning of your turn. If you play Aldor Peacekeeper on it, it will have 7 attack at the beginning of your turn. Keeper of Uldaman, same thing. It's basically 7 attack every turn. And it might not be worth it, but I really want to try this card out. I want to try it with swapping attack and health, like with Crazed Alchemist. Yes, obviously it has the potential downside of being traded with the turn before. It actually sets the attack to 7 for the very first time. So see, let's say you play it, you don't have a taunt, you don't have anything to protect it, your opponent has enough to kill it. You essentially paid 5 mana for 7 health, and that's really, really bad. But at the occasions where you can afford to play it and it does work, has the potential to turn into this unstoppable machine. And 7/7 for 5 mana is really good. It's not as good as, Fel Reaver, let's say, which is a 8/8. But Fel Reaver has a much crazier downside than this, I would say. Yeah, much excited about this card, and I can't wait until I will have the chance to play with it myself. The next card is the first one that they've shown that synergizes with an old god, Cthulhu. So it is the Beckoner of Evil. It's a 2/3 for 2 mana, very fair stats, and the effects is Battle Cry, give your Cthulhu +2/+2 wherever it is. So we've been explained how this will work. No matter where Cthulhu is at that point, if it's in your hand, if it's on your board, or if it's in your deck, it will gain +2/+2. A little portal will open and you will see Cthulhu growing and what stats he's on at that moment. So I think this card might potentially be a standard card, standard 2-drop in any Cthulhu deck. We have to see the other followers of Cthulhu and how they might play out. But I think as a battle cry, it's really good. It doesn't punish you in terms of stats because 2/3 for 2 mana is still quite acceptable. And with the deck that plays Cthulhu as their primary means of winning, yeah, this will be really helpful. We have to see until, we get more cards and we can see more of the summoners, because without a doubt there will be some that will be crazy overpowered and some that will be unplayable. So without comparing this card to a lot more of these cultists, I can't really assess it that well, but it's definitely a really cool card. I can't wait until the interactions happen with the deck, and yeah, Beckoner of Evil. The next card and Cthulhu's follower that they revealed is the Twilight Elder. It's a 3/4 for 3 mana, so Spider Tank or Dark Cultist stats with an upside like they have. So I think baseline, this card is really, really strong. And at the end of your turn, it gives Cthulhu +1/+1 wherever it is. Like Beckoner of Evil, it buffs Cthulhu on the board or in your hand or in your deck. But unlike Beckoner of Evil, that only buffs it once, when it comes into play, the Twilight Elder buffs Cthulhu continuously every turn it survives. So at the end of your turn, it is guaranteed to give Cthulhu +1/+1 automatically. But if it survives until your next turn, it will give him additional +1/+1 until the point where he dies. I think this will actually be a staple in Cthulhu's decks. If Cthulhu decks are any good and they will have any relevance on the standard meta, this will be an auto-include, because 3/4 for 3 mana are generally just played across the board. There's nothing really that can beat them, especially with Shredder being gone. So yeah, really awesome card. I really like the art as well. The mustache with the green tint from all the Fel magic. Really, really cool. Yeah, can't wait until I can play with this card as well. And the final card that I will be reviewing in today's video is Cthulhu himself. So Cthulhu is a 10 mana 6/6, which is terrible stat-wise. But as we could see in the previous cards, there will be cards that will buff him along the way. The way that Ben Brode described it is Cthulhu is sleeping and you gotta prepare him before he wakes up. So the ability is Battle Cry, deal damage equal to this minion's attack randomly, split among all enemies. So if you imagine Avenging Wrath or Arcane Missiles, stuff like that, this is essentially that equal to the attack that it's accumulated during the game. It could be really cool It looks really, really cool, but historically, cards with 10 mana are very hard to put in any decks. I don't really recall any 10 mana cards that are even being played. When TGD came out, I remember people being really hyped about Varian and crafting Varian on day one. And I was saying, I don't know, Varian it's 10 mana. I mean, fair enough, you can get a discount from Emperor, but then it's still 9 mana. You can't do anything after you play this card on that turn. And I think that what they really need to do is they need to look at BGH, because if they plan to have these gods as the cards that will be ruling the meta for the next couple of weeks and upcoming months, cthun that comes out as at least an 8/8, you're hoping it to be 20/20 or 30/30 when it comes out, and it just dies to BGH, it's not going to be a nice sight, and Owl that's going to silence it into a 6/6, it's not going to be a nice sight. So because of this, because of how the old gods look, and because they're not just a card that will give an aura to all of your cards, but they're actually cards and minions that will come into play, I think they need to take a look on, they will be taking a look on BGH and on the Owl, just in order for it not to be total killjoys of these massive cards. Hopefully the meta will slow down enough for us to be able to play these cards, because let's be honest, who today gets to turn 10? You get into turn 10 once every 3 games, once every 4 games when you're playing on ladder. It's really not that often. So I hope this card will be played. I hope they will make the necessary changes for big minions to be able to stay on board for a while. Hard removal isn't going anywhere, but because of BGH and because of certain cards nowadays, no one does include hard removal, and this might make people put it back inside their decks. So incoming Hex, incoming Polymorph, incoming all of those cards, because the old gods are fucking crazy. So on that note, I'm gonna end it right here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe it. For more content coming out in the future, I'll be reviewing all cards as they come out. Maybe make a short video about the patch coming Monday if it doesn't throw the servers off like it usually does in Europe. And until next time, take care. Bye.